This is a function in Python. We want to look at what is function and how do we apply them or create them. Functions are usable blocks of code that perform a specific task. They help organize code, avoid repetition, and make programs easier to maintain. Right? So we have a basic function structure, okay, which means that you have to define a function. Function is like a procedure, otherwise called method in other language. For example, in Java, we call it method, and C++. So is what is called in VB, it is called procedure, Visual Basic. But here we call it function. So when you want to define a function, the first thing is the keyword functions need to be defined. So we have def, which define function, the keyword. So when you use def, you're trying to define a function. So the next thing is the name of the function. I did the function name. So here we have greet, just to show example. Now the next thing is parameter holder. Parameter holder is one that holds the parameters of the function. So sometimes function can be empty. Okay. So for example, here we have greet here. This is the function name, no parameter passed into it. We just want function to print out hello world. So this is a parameter we want to pass in, nothing inside, empty parameter. So this is just the basic structure of the function. So when you look at it now, we print this out now, you have hello world here. So this function, no parameter passing, it's empty parameter, so only print hello world here. So the function can be called by just type greeting, open and close bracket, which is the parameter braces. Then we have the result will be printed out here. Okay, so you can go further now and now pass parameter to the function with parameter now. So we have our function created again using def greet user. So we are passing parameter called name into the name is now a variable now into the function. So name is parameter. So we want to print now hello, print f hello name. So we are trying to print a string now called hello. Now we are now blending parameter to it now. So don't forget this is a variable name. The last time I told us that if you want to print within a string, you use this curly bracket to brace it so that I can print out the variable name. This is also common in PHP also. When you are going to blend your variable name together with your string, so you use this curly bracket. All right, so this is a function being printed out now using so to use the function now, you call the function name greet user, add the function name, then you pass in your parameter him, which is name Alice, for example, then Bob, for example. So it will print out Alice, Bob. If you run this now, you see the function printed out two names, because that is what you say, print start with hello, then add the name. So this parameter you pass into the name can be changed to any other name, so just add parameter to it. We also have function with return value. Function with return value. Show that return value. This is common in calculations when you want to return a value. So we have a defined function. Our function name is hard. Parameter a comma b is passed to it. So we return a plus b. You can return a times b divided by b. Can do further complex calculations under return value. All right. So our result will now be equals to our function is called. We now pass our values. That's a value for a. If you put a value for b, is put here. So for a we have 5. For b we have 3. So the result should be 8 now output. So we just print out the result. It's a print result. So this returns send back a result to us. So the return value can be stored in a variable called result now. That's what we just did here. Okay, so it's very simple. This can be applied to multiple options. You can just say, okay, here's subtract here, this multiplication here, anything can be used here. So this one also will change at the same time. So we also have functions with default parameters, which means we want to make parameter default. Okay, we say define greet user, and now we say name equals to guest. So this guest is what we always use if no parameter is passed in. So we call it default parameters. So we say print hello name here. This name can be changed, can be had supply in the long run, in the process, you can supply name. But if no name is supplied, the default parameter will be printed out. So this user parameter can be overridden by using what this particular method. So just enter another name called Alice, which means that Alice will replace guest automatically. So, but if no parameter is passing, default one will show. So this is called default parameters. So you can initialize your function parameter with a name, with a value. For example, I can say in calculation, I can just initialize this particular, I can call it maybe pi equals to 3.14. Okay, I put here. So this already initialize this parameter. I can put comma and add more functions. Okay, so anytime I want to use this function now, I already initialize my pi to be 3.14. In that case, I don't need to bother about pi, even though I can change it later if nothing is supplied but if something already supplies, I don't need to change it anymore. I just leave it like that, so I can want to work with it with other calculations. So we also have keyword arguments. The keyword arguments mean that there's a keyword here. For example, we can define a function called describe person. Want to describe a person now? We have name, we have age. So we print name, age. In this case now, it can be in any order. So you can say name, age, address, and so on. So we can arrange the order. So because it's by keyword, the keyword means name is a keyword, age is a keyword. So when we are passing a parameter in, we maintain the keyword, not the arrangement. Okay. I see here describe person. I'm calling the function now. All right. The function should print out the name is age years old. All right. That's what I want to print out. So now I'm calling the function now describe person. And now I use age first, 25, name Alice. So this one now is focusing on the arguments. I mean the keyword, which is name, which is age and name. So not necessarily by the arrangement by which it is ordered here. All right. So arguments can be passed in any order. That's what it means if parameter name are specified. Okay. We also have what is called variable length arguments. Variable length arguments. Okay. We have the length of the variable can be multiple arguments can be supplied. That's what it means. So in the long run, so we have some number, for example, it's a function name. So we now say asterisk hags, which means that we are saying that this argument contains multiple numbers. For example, so let's want to calculation to sum some numbers. Total equal to 0. I'm going to explain this later in the next chapter. Okay, for now we may not need to understand this too much. For number in arguments, and in this particular variable called arguments, total equal to plus equal to number, return total. So adding the number, this number here into the total and return the total as a summation. So here print sum, here sum number 1, 2, 3. So we are saying that this argument you are passing here, there are multiple numbers there or values which are passing to this argument. So same thing, similar here. So to output summation of all this, which is 6, and also for this. So if you run this now, we have 6 and 50. All right. So likewise, also have variable length keyword arguments. So this one is k. This one have 2 asterisk here, 2 asterisk, then k. So it means keyword arguments. So the way we have argument here, similar we have argument here, but this time around a keyword. So keyword follow a dictionary type of values, which we have a key, we have value. Like we learned the other time in the dictionary that we have a key and values assigned to each of them. This is called mapping. So this same thing is applied here using a keyword arguments. So here we have for key value in key. This argument parameter now dot items, number of items we have inside, print f the key and the values. So here we call the function here display info, name equals to Alice, age equals to 25, and we can put like that. So when we finish, you can now print the value out to print the value and the key. So if you run this line of code now, you have name Alice, age 25, city New York. So this is just a good example of that. So useful for handling name arguments dynamically. You can pass arguments in the long run as you are working with it. Also have lambda anonymous function. which means that we can help us to create a small, the label function is a small one-line function, very small one-line function, often used for short operation inside the other functions. Maybe function inside a function, for example. If you are trying to blend the function inside the function, you can use a short function like that, lambda. So, for example, now square equals to lambda x, such that x square, okay, this is x square now. So, you can print square 5 to have 225 for us. So, that's what you have done here. So, it is just a method of you assign a lambda to it. So, this one is not commonly used actually. All right. So, we can just apply what you have learned so far now using the payroll system we have used before. Now, we want to use to create functions for them. Sort of now define them, create them one by one as you do before. Now, let us use function, simple function. Later, we now apply complex function. Now, we say define the function, calculate pay. We supply a parameter hours, comma, rate. We initialize rate to 15.0. This is a float, right? Then we return hours times rate. So this is what we return for calculate pay. Then that's what we did the other time. Don't forget. Then we define apply tax also here, gross pay, comma, this is our parameter, tax rate equals to 0.10, that is a float. Then return gross pay times 1 minus tax rate. Okay, so that is our gross pay. Then we now we initialize hours worked with 40, hours rate to 20.0. This integer, and this is a float. Now we now calculate our gross pay. Now gross pay equals to calculate now. We call our calculate pay, which is already initialized here. Return this and this together. Then we pass in the parameter hours worked, then hours rate. So what is hours worked? We already initialized. We already calculated that over here. The parameter we are working in, which we have assigned here, hours work and hours rate, we pass into here. Okay, to calculate our pay. All right. So this is our pay now. It's giving us this one, this and this. This one is changing now. Okay. This hours and rate is changing because we have initialized it with a different value now, which we are calling now. We are not calling this one anymore. This one, okay. We just need to create parameters. So anything can be passed into it now as hours and as a rate. Okay. So this is what we are passing now. Right. So we can change this one to just value straight. Just say to 40 here and say 20.0 here, which is okay. But just in case this changes, you can change it anyhow. That's what it means. So net pay now becomes apply tax, which is what we calculated here. Then pass in gross pay, right here. So tax rate is no more needed. Okay. So now, if you go further, you can print our gross pay. You can print out here gross pay. Go to output this output that. So when you click on print, so to give us our result here. Okay, we have a gross pay, right, and we have a net pay. Okay, so let's make it a little bit more complex now. Okay, let's break it down to modular functions. Now we have let's collect the data now, data collection now for function. So we get employee data now. So this one is our comment now, returns employee data as dictionary. So we are saying that what will happen here, this multi-line now. So employee equals to, we open the bracket. This is now dictionary now. Don't forget. But we are assigning this database now. We are creating a data set. That's what it looks like. Okay. We are assigning to employee. So employee data is named John Doe, employee ID, and so on. This is dictionary now we are creating now. Okay. So we now this one will return employee, which is all this data will return. Anytime you call employee, what you come out is this. So we can initialize. Of course, we can call each of the name by its employee, open bracket, block bracket, we pass a name, which means we are looking for employee name. Okay, so that is how we do it. So now we can calculate the functions now for calculate basic pay, okay, for employee, for each employee. So it return employee now, hour rate, and employee hour worked. So we are doing for a particular employee now. We don't know the employee, so you can pass employee name here directly, or employee ID here directly to show to calculate that for that employee alone. Okay. So, but for now, we only have one set of employee here for now. All right, which is 1001. But we can have multiple employee here. We can duplicate this one. Can duplicate it. This set of data can be duplicated are now changed. Okay, we have multiple employee. All right, for now we only have one. So the same thing applicable to calculate the tax here. I mean deduction here for each employee here. We calculate, we sum all the total. So return sum employee deductions. Right. Calculate tax also employee basic pay. So calculate the tax. So return basic pay of employee here. Okay. Return basic pay times employee. So here we can now print out the pay slip. Okay. To generate the pay slip now, generate pay slip is a function also. We are using function to generate that also. You can call, later we call the function and to print out the pay slip. Don't forget, we still need to create one more function actually. So, but employee, we pass in employee, each employee details now, basic pay, deduction, tax. So that's what we are printing out for the employee. So generate formatted slip string now. So net pay equals to basic pay minus deduction minus tax. So we are creating a function, a calculation under it now. Pay slip now, we are creating pay slip now, just a pay slip. So this one helps us to design a simple, small strings to showcase our employee. Now, employee, the name will be passed across here, ID is passed here. Is it manager? If employee is manager, else empty. So hours work, employee hours worked, hours rate, it prints out hours rate. This was to 2 decimal values. Okay. Then basic pay, similarly, then deductions, and so on and so on. So tax also is printed out. All right, we already have them printed. So when we return pay slip, all right, it will return pay slip for us. So let's calculate the function calculate payroll now. So the payroll, we want to calculate the payroll now. If you have not done, calculate payroll. So this orchestrates the payroll calculation process. So get employee data, we got employee equals to get employee data, which we have already declared up here. Okay, so if you remember here, our employee data is this. Okay, all right, you can see already declared here. Okay. Likewise, perform a calculation. So basic pay equals to, we call the function here, we pass employee here. We call deduction, we pass employee. Call the task also, we pass employee and basic pay. So to calculate the function. So all this one now already pass this one to our pay slip already. Don't forget that. So we are just creating function here. So if this one can come after, can come before, doesn't matter. Okay. So payslip, because generate payslip, employee, basic pay, deduction task, print payslip. So it can come up here. This one can come, this function can come up before this, it can come after this, doesn't matter how it comes. So you can see already pass them here. All right, pass them here to print them out for us. Okay, we want to print out all these ones out. Okay, you can see. So when we call the function here to print out all those, so if you run this now, if you run this one, we have you see execute this now. We have if underscore name equals to main, so we calculate payroll. So we just use this one to run. You can run that too. You can see the result here. Employee name, so we have name ID, hours work, hours rate, basic pay, deduction, insurance, and so on. So task net pay is shown here. So that is how we get employee. So now you can see some key improvements here. Now we have what we call modular design. Each function handles one specific task. For example, get employee data, collect employee information, calculate function, calculate basis pay, okay, and so on, handle math. Then generate payslip, format the output for us. Now, for better organization, we also use a clear section comments, separate different functional areas for us. Each function has a docstring explanation, its purpose, right? So maintainability, that's one of the key features of a function. It is to maintain, it is to modify one component without affecting others. Calculations are separated from data representation. So it's also can be used again. If you want to use again, a function can be called independently if needed. Easy to add new features like over time, calculations, and so on. So the output remains exactly the same as our original function we did before, but the code is now more organized and follows software engineering best practices, such as which is called modular programming. Each function has a single responsibility, making the code easier to test and maintain. So that is where we stop today for now. In the next class, we continue into other areas. So I want to thank you for listening. If you have any question or anything you want us to talk about that we omitted, you can put it in the comment section. I will be glad to attend to it. So thank you so much for listening. If you can like, you can comment, and you can share if you want. So if you are not subscribed, you can go ahead and do that. We are still going on a long journey under this this particular training, and I believe you will truly enjoy it as we proceed. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll see you in the next class.